Welcome everybody, this is a self-elected Ape of the Year, and this is going to be my BF110 basic tutorial. So I'm going to give you a quick tour around the cockpit, all the instruments, all the actions that you need to take in order to start the machine. Then we are going to talk a little bit about the machine, and we're going to start it, land it, and maybe even drop some bombs on someone. But I'm not promising anything. So first of all, we're going to light the cockpit up a little bit, so I can show you all this stuff a little bit better. What the fuck is this? First of all, this is a prop pitch indicator right here. Below that we have the resolutions per minute indicator, and below that we have the suction pressure. Thanks to Google Translate, I know that this is a suction pressure. I hope this is the right word. Well, and you will need those instruments to control your engine. And if you look very closely right here, you have some indicators above the instrument, D, 30 and 5, and these three numbers and the letter D shows you which settings you can use for an amount of time before the engine is going to take some damage. So for example, if you are using 1.3 ATA and 2400 resolutions per minute, you should do this only for 30 minutes and then reduce the performance a little bit, because otherwise your engine is going to start to take some damage. Just some quick information. Right here we have the altitude indicator, the slip ball, the artificial horizon, the airspeed indicator, and on the left we have some navigation tools, the so-called Kurskreisel. But I'm not going to go into telling you how this is used, because otherwise this is going to be a little bit more complicated. I'm going to make a special tutorial about the usage of this autopilot, because this Kurskreisel is more or less an autopilot. I'm going to make a special tutorial about this maybe someday in the past, in the future. So let's start the machine now. We are going to close the canopy first, and we are going to go from left to the middle, to the right, and do all the control inputs that we need to do. First of all, lower the throttle completely, and these two handles are for the flaps for the oil coolers. Push them down all the way. This is going to open the oil cooler flaps. Now we want to push those red handles all the way up. This is going to enable the fuel. Now we need to go a little bit more to the front here and enable both Magnetos for both engines. Push those devices all the way to the top. Now we go into the middle of the cockpit, push the stick just a little bit to the side here, and open the water coolers. So if you look closely, you see Auf and Zu. This is German for open and close, and on the left it says Auf, which means open. So you want to push them all the way to the left. Both those indicators. In the middle, just a little addition right here, you have an instrument for your fuel tanks, so you can look at the amount of fuel that you have, and you see fuel tank number 3 and fuel tank number 4 are empty. You see this by those lights right here. Fuel tank number 1 and fuel tank number 2 are full. On the bottom right here you have the devices that you need for the bombs, and this is something that we are going to do right now too, because later on we are otherwise going to forget it maybe. We are going to hit Ctrl W to enable the bombs, and on this switch right here you can choose between dive bombing and skip bombing. The right one is skip bombing, the left one dive bombing, and I'm going to skip bomb. So now we are nearly finished. We now only need to trim the plane a little bit to the right. So push it just a little bit to the right here. This device, this handle is for the trimming, and at the start it was right in the middle, so push it just a centimeter to the right, so it's looking like this, lined up with this little edge right here. Yeah. Okay, now we are setting the prop pitch to the fine position, 12 o'clock. And just a little bit in addition, right here you have the manual devices for the landing gear, the flaps, and the prop pitch. And of course ideally you have equipped this on your keyboard or on your joystick to make it a little bit more comfortable. Another thing you really need to equip on your joystick or keyboard is a button for choosing engine number 1 and a button for choosing engine number 2, as well as a button to choose both engines at the same time, because you can only start one engine at a time in this machine. And now that we have done everything, we can ignite the engines. So just a little check. Oil cooler, water cooler opened, fuel is running, magnetos are set, trim is ready, bombs are enabled. Let's choose engine number 1 and hit the ignition. Now you see that I'm moving the throttle only for engine number 1. I'm going to set it to about 10% and wait for the engine to start. So now engine number 1 is ready. Now we're going to start engine number 2. And engine number 2 is the one engine that gives the power for the flaps. So you cannot use the flaps or change the flaps until engine number 2 is started. And if you look closely right here, you see that on the engine itself there is an indicator for the temperature and the gas and oil pressure. So now we're going on the brakes to make sure the machine doesn't move yet. We are choosing both engines now with the key that we set up in the options, so we can control both engines at the same time now. And if you look behind the throttle, you see right here the indicator for the landing flaps. And right here there is a red triangle, and this shows you how many degrees the flaps are lowered or raised. And we want to lower them for 20 degrees. This is good for the starting of the plane. So now we are hitting up these lights here for the aiming sights. Alright. And we are ready to go. I'm now going to taxi to the end of the runway. And I'm going to tell you some basic information about this plane. So the Bf-110 is a destroyer. Historically, it was at the start of the Battle of Britain. It was used to escort bombers, which was a terrible idea. And then the Germans began to understand that it's a good thing to attack ground targets and enemy bombers, so enemy bomber formations. And then it got its role as a destroyer. And you can use this plane as a fighter plane, but you have to know something about this plane, because this plane performs terrible in turning, and it performs terrible energy-wise. So it climbs not very well, like the 109 does, but it climbs very slow. The only thing that this plane is good at is boom and zoom. So it performs good at diving, because it's so heavy, and because it has a lot of power, you can gain a lot of speed in a dive very fast. And if you have prepared before the engagement and gained a lot of altitude first, you can use this plane quite successfully as a boom and zoomer. But you really need to know that this is its only strength, and as soon as you start turning horizontally or you are in a position with low energy, you are pretty much screwed. So keep this in mind. It's not a very good dogfighter, but you can use it as a boom and zoomer, but I wouldn't recommend it. The main purpose of this plane is to attack ground targets or enemy bombers. So now we are on the runway. Two quick informations for you guys. This plane, if you start it, you want to make sure that you are not getting too fast on the ground. So lift the machine up before you reach 200 kilometers per hour. And another important thing is, You do not want to raise the landing gear too soon, because raising the landing gear is going to drop your altitude a little bit, and if you do it too fast, too soon, you're going to die. Just a little information. So now I'm going to throttle up. I'm going to use the rudder to compensate, so the machine doesn't pull too much to the left. And you want to make sure that your prop pitch now is set to 12 o'clock. So let's try it. I'm going to throttle up using the rudder. Now, before reaching 200 kilometers per hour, I'm pulling the machine up. And because we are very heavy because of the bombs, you need to be very careful and very sensitive. And now we have gained enough altitude to raise the landing gear. And as soon as I raise it, you will see that the machine drops a little bit. It wants to go down again. This is the reason why you don't want to raise the landing gear too early when taking off. Now we are going to drop the bombs anywhere, just on this field right here, on this. I do not really want to hurt anyone, so we're going to drop it right here on the field. And now we are going to approach the airfield once again in order to land. Maybe we're going to see the explosions. There were the explosions. So mission successful, let's land again. So once again, I'm approaching the airfield. I want to navigate and get a good sense of the position of the runway. I'm at first flying parallel to the runway. While I'm doing this, I make sure that I'm losing my airspeed just a little bit in order for the landing gear to be able to be lowered. This is what I'm going to do right now. So now the red lights are off and the green lights are going to be showing in just a moment. And if you're not sure if the landing gear is lowering or not, you see this by these buttons right here. If the red one is pushed in, it means that the landing gear is raising. If the green one is pushed in, like it is right now, it means that the landing gear is lowering. And right now that these green lights are showing, it means that the landing gear is ready for the landing. So I'm once again getting some sense of navigation here. I want to fly parallel to the runway, making sure that the prop pitch is on 12 o'clock. So in order to make an emergency throttle up, if I have some trouble or if anything happens, I can pull the machine out of the landing situation and climb up again. And now I want to lower the flaps. See the indicator, the flaps are still out. I should have raised them after the takeoff. I forgot about this. We're going to lower them now completely, all the way down. So you see the red triangle is all the way to 40 degrees. Now we're choosing our runway and we are performing a long curve. Just a moment. Getting into a better position. Lowering the throttle a little bit. I don't want to get below 200 kilometers per hour, but I don't want to be above 200 kilometers per hour. And now in this curve that I'm performing right now, I can lower the speed even more. and then I'm going to try to line myself up with the runway. Lowering the throttle even more. Trying to reach 200 kilometers per hour. And this machine performs quite well in landing, so it's quite comfortable to land. Has a very good landing gear. Throttle completely down. And we are going to make a terrible landing, but this isn't bad. So everybody's still alive. And whenever the pilot and the crew is still alive, it was a good landing. So now I'm taxiing back to the parking position. And this is it. Now you need everything you need to know about this plane in order to get it started and to get it on the ground again. We dropped the bombs too, and as always, make sure you use the correct timer in the options and stuff like that. So I hope this helped you, I hope you enjoyed, and if you want to fly this plane, remember, it's a terrible dogfighter. Don't fight against anyone. It's more you want to attack ground targets with this game, with this plane. So, thanks for watching, and see you in the skies.